Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through all that noise, and get straight to the AI insights you actually need. If you've been feeling maybe a bit dizzy with the speed of AI news lately, it feels like breakthroughs every single day. Well, you're definitely not alone. So today we're doing a focused deep dive into some key stuff that happened just on July 15th and 16th, 2025. We've pulled together some really interesting global AI news sources. Our mission really is to boil it down, find the most important bits, help you understand not just what's going on, but why it matters to you. We want to look at the big picture, but also those surprising little details you might have missed.
Exactly. And what's so interesting, I think, is how these different pieces of news from totally different parts of the world actually start to connect when you look at them together. It paints a much clearer picture of where AI is heading globally. Connecting those dots from Europe's strategy to what's happening in Asia. But hopefully we'll spark some real aha moments today about how this whole tech landscape is shifting.
Love that. Okay, let's kick things off then. Let's head over to Europe, the European AI frontier. They're really trying to carve out their own path with AI, aren't they?
They really are. It's quite distinct.
So first up, there's this partnership that I think speaks volumes. DDN, big data storage player, they've announced a strategic partnership with a company called Polarise. Polarise is apparently pioneering what they call sovereign sustainable AI infrastructure.
Sovereign and sustainable. Those are the key words there.
Right. And it's not just tech buzzwords. It's really about building AI systems that are, well, independent, not controlled from outside, and running on eco-friendly tech right there in Europe. The reason seems super clear. Huge demand for local AI stuff, this big focus on data sovereignty, keeping data inside Europe under European rules, and of course, complying with the EU AI Act. It feels like it's not just about being fast, but building AI that fits with European values like privacy and environmental responsibility.
And that really gets to the heart of it. It's this dual focus. Europe seems to have speed in structure, you could call it. They're pushing open source, privacy-first designs, decentralized approaches, making those core parts of their AI strategy, which leads to a really important question, I think. Can this unique approach, this sort of values-first way of doing things, actually give Europe a long-term edge in the global AI race? Maybe by building more trust, getting compliance right from the start, instead of just purely chasing the most processing power.
That is a crucial question, and it looks like the market, well, it might be betting on Europe, because that ties straight into our next point, this incredible investment boom in European AI. Get this. A report just came out showing European AI startup investment jumped 55% year over year in the first quarter of 2025. 55%.
Wow, that's a massive jump.
It is, and it's not just the total amount, it's the impact. Nearly half of all the new unicorns, those private startups worth over $1 billion that popped up in 2025, so 11 out of 23 are AI companies.
11 out of 23, that's huge.
Yeah. We're talking about players like Mistral AI. They're leading that open source charge, valued at $6 billion now. Then there's Germany's NNN doing cool stuff in automation. Helsing, based in Munich, they just closed a 600 million D round funding.
A D round, so pretty mature.
Right, at a 12 billion valuation back in June. And Lovable, a Swedish company, hit $17 million in annual recurring revenue in just 3 months. 3 months. So this isn't just like a temporary surge. It feels more like a real structural shift happening in Europe's economy.
It totally sounds like.
And it's not only startups getting in on the action. Germany, for example, is launching this really ambitious German AI offensive. They have this bold plan for AI to make up 10% of their economic output by 2030.
10%, that's wow.
I know. It's clearly a direct response to this global AI race, trying to catch up with the leaders like China, the US, India. Germany's determined, and they're throwing serious cash at it. 20 billion in EU funds for AI superfactories by 2027. And get this, 2 error-correcting quantum computers by 2030.
Error-correcting quantum computers. That's the holy grail, isn't it? Because standard quantum computers are so fragile.
Exactly. Error correcting is the key bit. Building ones that are fault tolerant, that's a massive step towards making quantum computing practical. And that could totally supercharge AI. Even the OECD chimed in, suggesting Germany should use AI for, the green transition, making government more efficient, improving healthcare.
So if you take a step back and look at the whole European picture, it seems clear they're trying to forge their own distinct path. They're prioritizing maybe ethical development and sustainability, like we saw with DDN and Polarise, alongside that rapid growth shown by the investment boom. And the fact that investors are pouring money in suggests there's actually a market appetite for this approach, even if it means maybe moving at a slightly different pace than the US or China. This could really define their AI ecosystem going forward, maybe even set a kind of global standard for responsible AI deployment.
That's a fantastic point about setting standards. Okay, so from Europe, let's shift gears. Let's head over to the really dynamic AI scene in Asia Pacific. And we have to start with this headline-grabbing reversal that I'm sure a lot of you saw.
Oh yeah, the chip situation.
Exactly. On July 15th, both Nvidia and AMD announced they got the green light to start selling some of their AI chips to China again. Specifically, the H20 and the MI308 models. These are slightly less powerful versions, right? Not their absolute top-tier chips.
Right, the ones designed to meet previous export control thresholds.
Yeah. And this comes after getting assurances, apparently verbal assurances, from the U.S. government about the export licenses. For Nvidia, this could potentially mean like billions of dollars in new revenue this year. Their CEO, Jensen Huang, even confirmed it on Chinese state TV.
Okay, but here's the crucial context, I think. While, yeah, it's obviously good for NVIDIA's, bottom line in the short term, the market in China has fundamentally changed. There's a lot of skepticism in China about these verbal assurances. They've seen things change quickly before. And during the time those U.S. restrictions were tightest, local Chinese AI chip companies, especially Huawei Ascend, they grew incredibly fast. They grabbed a lot of market share.
Ah, okay. So the landscape shifted while they're out.
Massively. So U.S. companies like Nvidia and AMD, they now face this really steep uphill battle. They're up against established local players who often have advantages in price, definitely in local service and support, and, crucially, a whole integrated domestic ecosystem. It's not just a case of flicking a switch and selling again. They have to regain trust and fight for market share against these really well-entrenched, often government-backed competitors.
That really highlights the complexity, doesn't it? Global tech policy isn't simple. Okay, moving from that to some really cutting-edge innovation coming out of Korea. LG AI Research just put out LG's XOWIN 4.0 on July 15th. This is apparently Korea's first hybrid AI model.
Hybrid AI, okay. What does that mean exactly?
So it's a real breakthrough because it combines the power of large language models, the types like ChatGPT that understand and generate text, with something called reasoning AI. That reasoning part gives it the ability to logically figure things out and solve problems, which means it apparently does really well in global benchmark tests, especially for complex tasks.
Interesting. So it's not just language, it's logic too.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how few companies have actually released models like this. LG is now in a pretty small group with companies like Anthropic and Alibaba. And here's a cool detail. LG is making XOWIN 4.0 available as an open weight model on Hugging Face for research and education.
Open weight, that's significant.
Yeah. It means the core parts are accessible on Hugging Face, which is like the hub for AI developers. That should drastically speed up how quickly the wider AI community adopts it and innovates with it. They've also launched a commercial API so businesses can start using it too.
That's a smart dual approach. Foster research and capture commercial value.
Definitely. Okay, from Korea, let's hop over to the bustling Indian AI scene. We saw news that Navana.ai, which is a voice AI startup, just locked down $800,000 in seed funding.
Seed funding, so early stage, but still a good sign.
Right. It reflects that really vibrant startup ecosystem in India. And Navana.ai's focus is interesting. They're working on local language needs across different Indian industries, trying to bridge that communication gap, which is huge in a country with so many languages.
Yeah, voice AI for local languages is
Yeah.
a massive opportunity there.
For sure. And beyond the startup scene, India is also using AI for some pretty big national infrastructure challenges. Let's look at AI for safety and smart transport. Sparsh CCTV, partnering with Innoviz Technologies and Cron AI, is rolling out AI-powered security and smart transport systems across the country. And the market is huge. Perimeter security alone is apparently worth over $3 billion, and smart transport is expected to more than double by 2033.
Wow, those are big numbers. What's the tech like?
It sounds pretty impressive. They're using these edge perception nodes, so think devices out in the field, not relying on the cloud for everything. These nodes combine high-performance LiDAR, using light pulses to map things in 3D with deep learning and visual analytics. And crucially, they're designed specifically for India's tough outdoor conditions like extreme heat, dust, glare, even fog. The goal is continuous, low-latency insights right where they're needed.
That makes sense. Edge computing is vital for real-time applications like transport and security, especially in challenging environments. You can't rely on sending everything back to a central cloud.
Exactly. Robust, real-world AI.
So looking across Asia Pacific, We're seeing really diverse strategies, aren't we? You've got the complexity of market reentry for foreign firms in China. Then you have homegrown, cutting-edge stuff like LG's hybrid AI in Korea. And then very localized solutions tackling specific regional needs, like what we see in India. It really underscores how global AI development is, but with each region playing to its unique strengths and addressing its own priorities.
Totally agree. Okay, let's jump across the globe now. Time for North America and Israel. We're seeing some incredible AI innovation here too, plus this relentless race for the underlying infrastructure.
Yeah, the picks and shovels of the AI gold rush.
Exactly. So kicking us off in the US, there's DFINITY. That's the organization behind the Internet Computer Protocol, or ICP. It's a kind of blockchain network acting like a public cloud. On July 15th, they launched Caffeine. It's a new AI-driven Web3 platform on ICP. And here's the kicker. It lets users build decentralized apps, D-apps, just using natural language, no coding needed.
No coding. Just talk to it and build an app on the blockchain.
Apparently, they're calling it a self-writing internet. It's this direct fusion of AI and blockchain tech. It even gave the ICP token price a bit of a bump.
Interesting integration. AI building the tools for Web3.
Yeah. And speaking of building things, let's talk about the massive investments pouring into AI's growth. Oracle just announced a huge $3 billion investment over the next 5 years. They're expanding their AI and cloud infrastructure, specifically in Germany and the Netherlands.
$3 billion from Oracle.
Yeah.
That's serious commitment.
It is. And what does this mean for, for you listening? It really signals this major shift where cloud and AI services are just rapidly taking over from traditional IT setups. And Oracle's not alone. They're joining the other giants. Amazon announced, $10 billion for Germany? Meta's Mark Zuckerberg is talking about pouring hundreds of billions into AI data centers.
Hundreds of billions. The scale is just staggering.
It really is. It's this huge infrastructure build-out happening right now, basically laying the foundation for whatever comes next in computing.
Absolutely critical groundwork.
Okay, now for a pretty fascinating feature from Microsoft. They're rolling out an update, just for Windows Insiders for now, for Microsoft Copilot Vision AI. It can now apparently see and analyze everything on your screen. That's a big jump from before when it could only look at 2 apps at once.
Yeah, everything on the screen. Okay, alarms bells might be ringing for some people after the recall feature controversy.
Right, but here's the crucial difference, and Microsoft seems keen to emphasize this. Unlike recall, this is fully opt-in. You have to actively choose to share your screen for it to work.
Okay, opt-in is key. That makes a big difference for privacy.
Definitely. And the goal seems pretty clear. Boost productivity, offer real-time help, analyze content, answer questions based on what you're looking at, like summarizing a web page or maybe helping you figure out a complex piece of software right as you're using it.
So more like an over-the-shoulder assistant, but only when invited.
Exactly. Now let's talk hardware. The battle for the AI infrastructure plumbing is really heating up. On July 15th, Broadcom unveiled its new Tomahawk Ultra networking chip. It's designed specifically to speed up data movement for AI and high-performance computing. Think of it like a super fast, super efficient traffic controller inside those giant data centers, connecting all the AI chips working together.
Okay, so networking. How does it stack up?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. It's a direct challenger to Nvidia's NVLink switch, which has been kind of the king of the hill for connecting Nvidia's own GPUs. Broadcom's big advantage, they say, is using standard high-speed Ethernet. This allows for ultra-low latency, and crucially, it can connect 4 times more chips than competitors.
4 times more chicks using standard Ethernet. That could be a game changer.
Yeah, it signals a serious push to shake up that AI hardware hierarchy, potentially making high-speed AI processing a bit more accessible, less reliant on one company's proprietary tech.
Definitely one to watch. Competition is usually good news.
For sure. Okay, switching gears slightly, security. Meta's AI bug fix is a good reminder that building this stuff isn't easy, and things can go wrong. Meta recently fixed a vulnerability in its AI chatbot. It basically allowed users, potentially, to see other users' private prompts and the AI's responses to them.
Oof, that's not good. Seeing other people's private chats.
Yeah, exactly. A security researcher found it just by tweaking a unique number when editing their own prompts. It seems the root cause was the server not properly checking who was a pretty fundamental security slip. Meta fixed it back in January, paid the researcher a $10,000 bounty, and they confirmed no one actually misused it maliciously, but still.
Yeah, it highlights just how complex securing these new AI systems is, even for the biggest players.
Yeah.
Lots of new potential failure points.
Definitely. Now, talk about major new players. How about Murati's Thinking Machines Lab?
Ah, yes, the former OpenAI CTO's new venture.
New venture is putting it mildly. This AI startup is valued at an absolutely astonishing $12 billion in its seed round.
12 billion in seed round. That's almost unbelievable.
I know, and the funding number itself, $2 billion, led by Andreessen Horowitz with Nvidia, AMD, Cisco all chipping in. And what's really wild is the company is less than a year old. They haven't even shown a product yet. Murati has promised a significant open source product soon, but wow.
That level of valuation, pre-product, pre-revenue,
Yeah.
it's just extraordinary confidence from investors. They're betting purely on the team, the vision, and presumably some serious underlying tech potential. Very rare, even in AI hype cycles.
It really is. It speaks volumes about the expectations around her and that team.
It absolutely does. And this actually brings us to a really interesting trend, something maybe a bit counterintuitive that's happening in AI development. Why are top AI labs, we're talking Anthropic, DeepMind, OpenAI, increasingly moving their AI coding tools
Right.
back to the command line terminal?
The terminal, like
Yeah.
the black screen with text, that feels really old school.
It does. Right. But think about what it implies for the future. It suggests maybe a lot more of our interaction with powerful AI might happen through interfaces like that. The reason seems to be that terminal-based AI agents could do way more than just write code snippets. They can handle server configurations, debugging, network tasks, a much broader range of complex operations. It makes them more autonomous, more versatile. Essentially, it creates a more powerful, kind of all-in-one AI assistant for deep technical work, operating directly within the developer's core environment.
Huh. So less graphical interface, more direct control for complex tasks. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, counterintuitive, but makes sense when you put it like that.
Exactly, a shift towards more powerful autonomous agents.
Okay, let's wrap up our regional tour with a quick look at AI adoption in Israel. Data from July 15th showed nearly 28% of Israeli businesses are using AI. That's significantly higher than the EU average, which is around 13%.
28% is pretty high adoption.
Yeah, and unsurprisingly, high-tech companies are leading the way, 60% adoption there. Now, the interesting part is the impact on jobs. While about 42% of managers said AI replaced some routine tasks, the vast majority of companies, like 89%, reported no change in their total number of employees.
Okay, so it's more augmentation and task automation than outright job replacement, at least for now.
That seems to be the story. AI handles the routine stuff, freeing up people for more complex, maybe more valuable work.
That aligns with what we're seeing in many places. AI augmenting human capabilities rather than just replacing them wholesale, especially in knowledge work.
Right.
So looking across North America and Israel, the picture is one of, well, intense innovation, massive investment flowing into that foundational infrastructure needed to power AI, and this constant evolution in how we actually interact with and deploy AI in the real world. It's just a landscape of incredibly rapid change, fierce competition, and this continuous push towards more capable, more integrated, and perhaps more autonomous AI systems.
Wow. Okay, what an incredible range of stuff we've just covered, all from just 2 days of news. I mean, from national strategies about sovereign and sustainable AI in Europe to these absolutely huge investments pouring into infrastructure everywhere. Cutting-edge new chips, challenging the big players, those tricky privacy challenges, and then groundbreaking startups like Murati's appearing, seemingly out of nowhere with massive valuations. It really is a global phenomenon, but with these really distinct regional flavors.
It really is. And if you connect all those dots like we tried to do, you see just how interconnected global AI development is, but also how each region is bringing its own unique strengths, its own priorities to the table. The whole landscape is just evolving at this breakneck speed, and it's impacting everything, isn't it? From national economies right down to our daily productivity, and even the fundamental ways we interact with technology.
Absolutely. Which I guess leaves us with a final thought for all of you listening to maybe chew on. As AI continues this relentless march forward, which of these global trends we talked about, maybe Europe's focus on values and sovereignty, or Asia's dynamic mix of market reentry and homegrown tech, or North America's infrastructure race and cutting-edge research, which one do you think will have the biggest impact on your own daily life in the next year or so? What applications or implications really stick out to you beyond just the headlines? Something to think about. Thank you for listening.